Hey, welcome back to the channel. We're going to put an intake on the Mustang. First, let's go for a little drive and get some data for a baseline. All right, so we're in the car, letting him warm up. We got to run some errands, but what we're going to do is we're going to log and we're going to use virtual dyno to get a baseline, and then we'll throw on the intake. I'm currently doing some tuning as well, so this is pretty much the base tune. I bumped the rev limiter to 6,500 and that's about it. But we'll go out for a drive. We'll do a quick pull in second, because with virtual dyno I can command second gear, so it's not completely legal. And then we'll throw the intake on and do another back-to-back pull, and then we'll see the differences here. And then we'll continue. Then we'll tune and show the final differences. So we're gonna slow down. We're gonna do a hit from 2. I forgot my chest mount, so we're gonna keep both hands on the wheel and then log it. All right, so we're back on the garage now. A little warm. We'll disconnect everything. Tube. Now, for comparison, my car did have a K&N in it. Yeah, looks like we just got that 110mm there or so. Either 10 or 12. Find out here in a minute. 10. Now this car's been modified before, because full transparency, when I pulled the tune, it already had a 6,500 RPM rev limit on it. Also, the variable camshaft is currently disabled. I see I'm plugged in on both, so I don't know what's going on there. I'm going to pull this out here. So that's it. That's your removal. Pretty simple. Let's look at the K&N. The requirement is to have a Carb approved intake. So this one's Carb approved. We're going to throw this on and unbox it. We want to pull this radiator shroud bolt right here. There's an 8, it looks like. And if you don't have a swivel head socket like I do, you may want to do this before you install the bracket if you're watching this video all the way through, because it's a little tight. This gets removed and does not get replaced according to K&N. Looks like from the factory we're grabbing air from behind the headlight. This should do a decent job of trying to block that off. So there's that bolt we don't need. Now we're just going to test fit this in here, see how this looks. Looks pretty good. They say we want to put the heat shielding on next. And then we got to put the hardware down. So we'll just follow the instructions. We'll put the surround on next, and then the next piece.
Here we're actually working on installing the heat shield surround. I decided to reuse the factory airbox bolt and then the aftermarket bolt that's supplied to bolt to the radiator shroud.
This is how the airbox sits in here. This is how this sits in here. there's a flow arrow that points this way. So make sure you get your orientation right. Essentially, you put it into the K&N, you want it like this. The air opening with the hot wire here has to face into the flow. So this is how this setup goes. Again, you want the flow this way. The T20 torques through here into the bracket. It's gonna sit down in there nice. There's a gasket on that. This gasket sticks in the bottom of this, and then they bolt to here. So I'm gonna do that off camera. And again, that's what you're looking for. Flow towards the engine. And you're using the other Allen heads with the remaining lock washers into here. We're just driving over to the same hit spot. Initial impressions is a little more throttle response for sure down low. Definitely louder, which could be giving a placebo effect, but it definitely feels like it's picking up a little bit more down low. Now again, I haven't even bothered tuning for this. We'll give a full debrief of all the numbers, but that's just initial impression. And I'm gonna end up using about a gallon of gas, so to make sure we offset the weight too. It's gonna be a little bit less weight it's pulling. But we'll go do that hit in a few minutes and come back with a wrap up at the computer. Alright, so we're back looking at the logs here. Pardon the fan noise. And this is that first log before the K&N intake. Notice we got an overly rich condition on tip in. I need to tune out. And then we're pretty level. No knock noise, no issues, no nothing. Air fuel's about what we're looking for. Pretty clean, right? And then the other logs, I made 2 hits. Oh, actually, I'm going to close this down. And then I made 2 hits of the other. So what we're going to do is we're going to export this into Excel. And we'll throw it in Virtual Dyno and see what the differences are. So let me see if I can actually zoom in a little more. So Virtual Dyno is essentially an application that looks at ramp rate or acceleration rate and RPM and any other variables you want to log, and will kind of tell you where you're at. Now, I haven't figured out the Ford PID for horsepower. I use the GM one all the time for and it's pretty accurate. But first step here is we need to export this log. So you want to do the visible range, which is going to be graph-based visible range. So that way you can trim it out. And then interpolate is nice. It just helps fill in any sort of weird sampling gaps. And then name it and save it. So we're going to call this second gear pull pre K&N. And now we're going to open up the other 2 log files, which is actually 1 log file together. And here are those 2 drives. Pretty clean. Duty cycles are looking good. A little bit more airflow, just a little bit, so we'll see. So we're going to export this one. Visible range again. This one was traction control on. I'm testing the theory that it actually pulls some power up top with traction control on in second. Also has AC, also had AC on, and here's a clean pull without anything. I'm actually bringing it out to the rev limiter. Like I said, it's about a 6,500 RPM rev limiter currently. It's really the only tuning adjustment that's been made. I think they bumped a degree or degree and a half of timing in, but again, I kept the same tune in. We're just trying to do an apples to apples comparison on the K&N. And then we're just going to go... Alright, so the next step is you want to open them up in the editor. So we're going to close this one down. We're going to open a new one. And we're going to go to folders. Here it is. Interesting. Doesn't seem to be... Oh, there it is. Just had it. Computer's acting a little weird. There it is. So let's do the pre-call first. And this is all the output stuff in case you needed to know. Now I actually grabbed, and I'll show on my cell phone here, I'll show the pictures, but I grabbed some barometric and atmospheric pressure stuff just in case these onboard sensors aren't accurate. Imagine they would be. So let's grab my photos here and let's look at screen captures. So this first pull, and you've got channel data and then the measurement below. What I do is you got to have the data at the very top, and then the offset, this is time. So I've already got virtual dyno pointed to offset as time, and then that's really it. I'm going to just clean up the throttle, and you can see I've got cruising, so closed loop here, in column X. And we're looking for full throttle, which is going to be column H. There it is. 76 is full throttle right now. So right about here. And I wanted to hit it a little bit early because currently I'm playing around with the tip-in or the delay. But that's alright. So we'll do that. So now we're clean, full throttle. We're going to go again, same thing until we're at max RPM right here. This looks pretty good right here. And we come down in RPM right here. See this? So we'll clean this out. Delete that. So this log is ready to be imported into Virtual Dyno. So we'll just save it. I don't need that other data. A couple other things. I could put my user math in here, because this is my raw voltage. And I could put my user math in and get my lambda or my AFR. I don't feel like doing that right now. I do that a little bit later when I start moving that point around to see if there's any power gains. Most of the time it's not worth the squeeze, if you will. So let's open up another one. We're going to go post K&N, same story. Clear this out. Oh, and I was actually going to look at my the barometric pressure sensor and the intake air temp. I'll do intake air temp versus the outside air temp. But yeah, over here, 82.4 degrees, and barometric pressure is going to be in PSI, and I'm looking for inches of mercury in my measurement, so it's not going to work. But for the sake of argument, air temp was 77 at the time of this pull. We're showing 82 here. And pressure is 13.34. That would probably be about 30 inches of mercury and 30.05. So pretty good. We'll just use this data. And I also used about 1.1, 1.2 gallons of fuel. I'll go check that for the offset here. So this one we'll just clean up for throttle position again. Now you can play around in the HP Tuners editor to try to get you as accurate as you can. Oh, I went way too far. And I'm looking at the... So there's closed loop. And here's when I hit the throttle. Right there. And we're just going to go a couple. We'll go 3. So we'll log it from right here. I'm trying to get where the RPM isn't dripping down. That tends to cause havoc with the accuracy. Okay, let's come down to the bottom. And same story, I'm just looking for column H is what I'm zooming in on. So you can see the RPM drops a little bit, so we're going to go probably right here, 65.21. Otherwise it's going to get a little bit convoluted at the very end. And you'll see it in the log when you export it. You'll have to modify it. So save this. If the tails of the log don't look right, you'll have to modify it. So when we'll do the last pull, let's do with traction. So get rid of our labels here. There might be a better way to export these. If you use this program and you have ideas, please let me know. I'm always about saving time. But this is the way I found it to work. Oh, I went way too far again. Looking at the wrong column. I was looking at airflow or vehicle speed. So it's closed loop, here's open loop, right? Probably about here. Yeah, you can see it dip down for a coast and then hit. So this will be just fine. A couple RPM on the backside isn't going to be the end of the world as far as a logging perspective. We're just looking for gains, right? So we're going to find 76. There, oh. Now this one I did wind out on the rev limiter for a little bit. So we're going to come up. This looks good. 74, 64. There's 64.90, and then we're back down again. So this is probably going to be the end of the road right here. So those are saved, and I will load them up here 1 second. Alright, I actually went to the car and grabbed the gallons used. It was about 1.5 gallons used, and it's 6 pounds 9. So we'll just take, we'll just say 9 pounds, 9.15. So we'll say 9.5 pounds off between the two runs. So now, Virtual Dyno is the application. I've made a profile already with the gears, and I'll show you that here. So under profiles, oh, what's going on here? Made a vehicle that already has my tire size and my weights. This is actual scale weight of the car. I'll put the picture in below. And then let's just close this down and close this down. So we're going to load some runs now. That's pre. Oh, you got to close the other files. So you can't have them open while that's going on. So we'll grab pre. And then we're going to grab with traction control. And I did feel a dip in the road. So, yeah, we're going to toss out this one. This is definitely a problem. Otherwise, second gear pull. Weight's about the same. We're going to pull out 10 pounds on this one because there was less fuel. And then we're going to adjust for conditions here. Now, the very end of this log does not seem accurate, so I'm going to go back and trim that and reload the log. So we're looking at the no assists. Yeah, we're just gonna trim off these two. That's gonna clean up the log. There we go. We'll reload the log. Now, I will say the car actually does feel a little stronger. It's interesting, it's still doing that. I might have a dip in the road. Let me change the smoothing to 2. We'll smooth it out to 3. We'll just go to 5. We'll just make it as smooth as possible. A little bit of the peaks and valleys, but so now if we left this the same, it's going to show a big change. However, let's do some atmospheric corrections because it did get a little bit cooler between runs, and the car's lighter. So we're gonna first take the 10 pounds off. Actually, let's do 10 pounds. It's going to drop a little bit, and we're going to do some adjustments here for SAE. So the first run, we'll just grab the intake air temp off that log in a second, but barometric pressure was 30.02. And the second run, 30.05. And then we'll grab intake air temps from the logs. So I've verified that's pretty accurate. Here's that first log, 93 degrees. Now we're getting a little closer, and then the second one. So what's interesting is they have to be closed to load it, but then you can actually load them back up afterwards and do your data compare. I'll also show you how you can spread them. 82.4. So there we go. Pretty much gains across the board. The car does feel faster. Now, K&N did claim 15. 15 puts it at 257. Virtual Dyno saying more than that. Virtual Dyno saying it picked up like 2027. Now this car does have a little bit of an adjustment on the tune side, but this should be reasonably accurate. RPM peaks are about the same. Now if we were to take the smoothing down to a 0, we're going to see a lot of noise, right? This is just wheel traction, not a smooth road. I'm out in the country. Even this here, this isn't quite right unless I see something in the logs, but you can, I'm logging timing by the way down here for boost. Timing's very consistent. Air fuel was flat on the logs as well, so I'm going to say that's those are road anomalies. So we're going to smooth this down a little bit more. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure the peak power isn't this, because I still don't believe this is right. But a little bit everywhere, right on throttle hit, on up. So definitely going to say it was worth it. You can feel it, seat of the pants as well. And this gives me some good baseline. So now what we'll do is we'll make another hit once we go back and we'll adjust the, we'll start tuning. So we'll dial in the MAF, we'll dial in the predictive airflow, then we'll see if there's any more timing to be had. First thing we're going to do is we're going to load like an 08 Bullet Mustang tune. It's got a slightly different intake valve ramping rate than this one does, and I'm also going to try to enable the variable camshaft as well. I think I'm missing some down low. And then what we'll do is we'll actually pay attention to down low first, corners, power coming out of the corners. So there's your gains, there's your difference. Hopefully you found this helpful. I'm going to give the K&N 2 thumbs up. Instructions are great. The makes power, you can feel it, it makes more noise. It's all around a win. Thanks for watching.
I wasn't happy with the peaks and valleys, so I went and did another test hit. As you can see the results here. And still, very conclusive, it's making more power with the intake. K&N claims 15, I would agree. Most of the time, cold air intakes don't really have this big of an impact, but on this car, you can feel it, you can hear it, you can see it in the data. Significant. So 2 thumbs up. Definitely look at doing an intake on your 4.6. Definitely a worthwhile mod.